National Taiwan University Herbarium, the acronym TAI, is the oldest and the largest herbarium in Taiwan. The herbarium is a place to store the scientific collections from the field and put into the classified cabinet. And the collections of this TAI herbarium has about 260,000 specimens, and is the largest one since the establishment of the herbarium from 80 years ago. TAI herbarium can be divided into two parts. The first part is for dry specimens. It's located on my back of this two-floor building, and the other part is for living collections right in front of the garden in front of the building. Here I'm going to demonstrate how plant specimens are going to make. And for all the field work, this is something I collected from Nantou yesterday. And we have to put into the series of number and inside this collection book. And all the information will be written inside this book, like the number, the name of the plant, and also the place we collected, and also, of course, the date. And after all the information was on the book, and we will arrange the plant material on a piece of newspaper, like this. And we fold this newspaper, and we put the newspaper between two cupboards to absorb the moisture, and put everything on the top. And then we will put this the steel plate between all of the plant material, and we'll try to push it really hard to make it really compact. Because after it dry out, all the material will shrink a little bit. So we really need to press really hard and compact. And we'll then put this into the oven for about 5 to 7 days. After we put it into this oven, then we will stay about 5 or 7 days to let it dry completely. But depends on the plant material. Some of the plants have a lot of water, and so you might want to change the newspaper maybe every other day, and so on. And some of the material is basically pretty dry already, and so you can collect them out in 3 or 5 days. Here is one of the living collection places for TAI herbarium, and this area is just to represent the Taipei Basin. As some of you already know that Taipei Basin was a wetland before, but as the civilization right now, Taipei City has a lot of buildings. The plant on my hand is Barringtonia racemosa. It's one of the common plants before you can see on the seashore. But right now you probably only can see on the southern part of Taiwan. This greenhouse is one of the living collection for ferns. And as you can see, there are a great variety of ferns, and not only from Taiwan, but also from all over the world. This is one of the very special collections for the in the greenhouse. This is Isolatus taiwanianus, and or the common name is the quillwort. It's only found in Yamingshan, the Dream Lake. It's endemic only in the lake. And for a conservation effort, we have several plants planted in the inside the greenhouse. After the specimens are completely dry, then we need to put the specimens on a piece of paper. The process is called mounting. And this is a dry specimen, and with all the collection materials already ready on hand. And here we have two volunteers to demonstrate the mounting process. And at first we put a label on the piece of paper. Then we arrange the print specimens on the top of the paper. In order to fix the materials on the piece of paper, in some area, the thinner area, we will place a very thin paper on top of it. And for some of the tricks, which are thicker, then we have to using the sword and the thread to put the specimens on the top. And after the specimens was fixed on the paper, it will basically look like this. And if some of the materials are very easy to drop off, then we'll prepare a small package on the top of it to store some of the small part of it. For larger specimens like this legume of entada, and this is almost impossible to put it on the piece of paper. So we have two ways to store it. We can use a large box, or just dry it like this, hang in a special place. And or like this mucuna is another example for large specimens that cannot be mounted on the paper. Other example like some of the succulents plant, and which is very difficult to preserve the 3D morphology on a piece of paper. And then we can put it into a liquid like the alcohol, and to preserve the 3D structure of the plant material. And this is Caryophylla humilis, and a very beautiful plant on the forest ground. This is another special collection of TAI herbarium, and here are some of the collecting tools. Can be dated more than 50 years ago, and some of the materials are very unique, and like this plant holder. This is a special design for put the plants inside this box, and so they won't be smashed together in a small bag. One of the functions for the herbarium is to have as more collections, a variety of collections as possible for the scientists or students to be able to see the different diversity of the plants. And to be able to do that, we have established exchange specimen with many other areas all over the world. For example, this is a specimen from United States, the plant from Wyoming, and this is an alpine plant that will not be able to see in Taiwan. And so with this kind of exchange, then the scientists will be able to compare the different specimens between different areas. And we also have many other exchanges with like Costa Rica, the tropics, and also with the Sarawak, the Malaysia, the Southeast Asia one. There are several different ways to organize all the specimens in the herbarium. And one way is to organize it according to the classification system. But there are several different ways to do that. In TAI herbarium, we basically classify them using the larger groups like the ferns, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. In angiosperms, and this part is the monocots. Within the larger group, all the specimens are classified into the different families. And for example, over here is the beginning of the orchids, the orchidaceae. And over here, you can see the colored label of the different folder. Different species will be put into the different folders accordingly. And different color means it is from the different area, like this is from Europe, the purple one, and the green one is from Asia, of course, except from Taiwan. All of the specimens from Taiwan is labeled Taiwan over here. We'll use the example from the Alpinia shimadai as an example for this organization. This is a folder for Alpinia shimadai, and this is one of the wild ginger in Taiwan. And within this folder, they are all the same species. For this specimen, you can see the layout of the plant material and also all the information we just saw from the label. And over here, you can see a stamp and also a serial number on the specimen. And this is why we are having a great effort to put all the specimen information into the huge database. Currently, the TAI database contains more than 190,000 specimens in the database, and we'll use this one of the specimens for introducing the system. And to introduce the system, I will take this example for Acalifa suidebiensis as an example. For every plant species name, there will be one specific specimen to be associated to it. The specific specimen, we call it the type. The type specimen is very variable and very important, and it's basically will be written with under the description of this the species. And Acalifa biensis was named by Yamamoto, and here we can input the scientific name through the system and select the name from it. And there are several different specimens associated to it. But we can click on the type, And here is type image you can see from the internet, and we can actually dig it out from our collection here. All of the type specimens are stored at this very special cabinet. And this cabinet are, for example, if there's a fire or earthquake, these specimens are the first ones to be sent out. And we just see the Acalifa suiransiensis, the specimens from the computer. And here we can see the actual type specimens from here. Here I would like to introduce some of the very special collections in TAI, and this is a very old specimens. And as we can see here, it was collected by Augustine Henry. This is actually a pretty bad example for the label, and there's only the name and a very rough locality information about Formosa, and you can even see the handwriting by Henry. Augustine Henry was actually a very famous collector. Collect in the late 19th century. He collect more than 16,000 specimens from southern part of China and also from Taiwan. And during his collection time, it's around 1891 to 1899. And we know he collected the plant specimens from Taiwan roughly before the Japanese colonization period, so which is 1896. So based on this information, then we'll know, although there's no date information on this specimen, but these specimens must be before 1896, which means this specimen is more than 100 years old. Such kind of lack of information on the specimen label is quite common, especially for the old specimens. And sometimes there's only collector's name and some of the numbers. And so for the people, the curators in the herbarium, they need to have a great information on how and when the collector was collecting the plants and where it might be might went to. And here, for example, this means Takao, means the current name is Kaohsiung in the southern part of Taiwan. Not only TI has a lot of old specimens, and we also have very historic cabinet for those specimens. And over here we can see one of the very interesting historical events. And you can see over here and here. And that is a remain of the bombing during World War II. Although the damages we just saw on the cabinet, we are not sure was caused by the bullet or by a bomb shell, but it definitely damaged the specimens stored within the cabinet. And here are some of the examples for those damaged by on the specimen sheet. And luckily enough, for these specimens, only the part without the plant material was damaged. But for this example here, there are part of it was removed by the damage, but we think this is a really very unique and historic with historic values for the specimens. So we keep it specifically a variable for that.